Good morning.
Good morning.
You can be seated. Fred and I are going to kind of share pulpit time this morning. We're going to talk about our church family. We're going to talk about the family of God. We're going to talk a little bit about small groups. And I couldn't come up with a good title, so I just put bones, ligaments, muscles, and tendons. I want to introduce you to somebody. I got a new friend. His name is, I couldn't name him. I think I'm going to call him Bones. But he's supposed to roll, but I don't know how he rolls. So probably something I didn't do right. So I just move him over here like this. I want you to be able to see him. Trey Kilgore is going to come up and help me, by the way. Grab that microphone as you come up, Trey. You're going to need that. So when you look at bones here, Trey, I'm just curious, man. Have you ever broken a bone?
A couple.
A couple. Which ones?
Down here. I did a tendon in here.
A tendon. You know what a tendon is?
Not
You put
really.
that up there so people can hear you talk. No, really. All right. Well, we're going to talk about that in just a second, Trey. I broke a bone too. I broke this one playing basketball one time. That means I wasn't a very good basketball player. But when you look at a skeleton like that, when you look at old Bones, and I guess that's an okay name for him, isn't it? You know, he can't function much by himself if he just looks like that. I mean, he's going to have some real problems. So if this fella had a foot that was itching and he didn't have a hand, how would he scratch it, Trey?
I couldn't.
Well, I guess he could do this. I mean, I guess he could scratch his foot like that, maybe. But you're going to have different parts of the body to do different things. Now, this is not supposed to be a science class, Trey, but you're on the hook, buddy, because I asked you to volunteer and you did. How many bones are in the body? You've been to school.
Like
You've got to know. How many?
200 and something.
What?
I think like 200 and something.
200 and something. Well, you got the 200 part right. 200 and something. You got any idea what the something is?
414 something.
There we go, 6.
Close.
Who was that out there? I heard a voice, 206. I like it. 206 bones in the body, Trey. Now, which one is not important?
None of them.
None of them, so they're all important. So do you need all of them to function? You do. So you got this body, and you got, now every bone has a part, right? Well, Paul says we're like, the body of Christ is like a body. Every part is important. Every part has a function. Every part is supposed to do something. And so you're one of the bones somewhere in there. So I'm just looking at this skeleton, Trey. If he wanted to move a bone, how does that work? Well, you don't know it's going to be science class, did you? How does he move a bone?
With muscles.
Muscles.
And joints.
Oh, he's got muscles. He got muscles and joints. This is just a guess, Trey, but you know about how many muscles are in the human body?
More than bones.
More than bone. You're smart. You're smart, Trey. About 600. About 600 muscles.
That's a lot.
So if you had a bone and a bone didn't have a muscle, could a bone move?
No.
No, it can't move without a muscle. Some of you are bones. Some of you are muscles. But I got to have you because if I don't have a muscle, I can't move the bone. Now, if I don't have a muscle and I see a piece of cake, so I got an eye, so the eye can't say to the hand, I don't need you, because if the eye sees a piece of cake, what does the eye need to get the piece of cake? Well, he's going to have a hand. Just a hand?
A muscle.
You're going to have an arm. I mean, a hand's not going to do much without an arm, right? You're going to have to arm to stretch out to get the piece of cake. Bring the piece of cake, put it up to the mouth so the teeth can eat it. Well, it's a lot of stuff, isn't it? But he's going to have a muscle. Now, what holds all the bones together, Trey?
Joints.
Joints? Something else, too. Starts with an L. Anybody know what holds all the bones together?
Ligaments.
Ligaments. Ligament. Hey, y'all are smart. So how many, anybody know how many ligaments are in the Bible? In the body. Not in the Bible, in the body. It's about 900, according to my research. Now, I don't know. I pulled this off the internet, so not everything you're reading on the internet is true, right? And I had to write it down, so I didn't know it either, right? So about 900 ligaments. And the ligaments hold the bones together. Some of you are bones. Some of you are muscles. Some of you are ligaments. What holds the muscle to the bone?
Tendons.
A tendon. Woo! Look at Trey go. Did y'all see that? Trey, how many tendons we have?
More than all of them.
About 4,000. About 4,000. And so you need all of those parts to make the body work right. And then it can't work without fuel. How does it get fuel?
By eating.
By eating. And what happens when you eat, Trey?
You get energy.
You get energy. You got organs that create energy, right? And you got blood that moves it around and moves it through the body. Anybody know how many miles of blood veins a human body has in it? That has got some head shaking. Anybody got a guess?
1 million.
About 60,000 miles. 60,000 miles of blood vessels pumped into that thing with about 7 trillion nerve endings. That's impressive stuff, isn't it? So Paul comes along and he says, okay, but the church is like a body. And if you don't have every section of that body, if you don't have everything working together, it's just not going to function properly. Now, some of you might be a bone. Some of you might be a muscle. Some of you might be a tendon. You might be a ligament. You might be a nerve ending, because some of y'all get on my nerves. It's funny, isn't it? And maybe you're one of the 60,000 miles of blood vessels. But if all of that doesn't work together, it doesn't work. So Paul comes along and he says, well, can the eye say to the hand, I don't need you?
No.
Can the head say to the feet, I don't need you?
No.
Why not? Tell me, Trey, explain that to me. Why is it all necessary?
Because your mind has to tell your feet, and your mind has blood in it, I think. And so if it's not all together, then it won't work.
You're the man. You're the man. So Trey, reason when I asked Trey up here too for this reason is Trey he rides motorcycles. So Trey, how does it look when you're on a motorcycle? I should have brought you to get you to bring a motorcycle. How do you make a motorcycle go?
Twist it.
Twist it. The whole motorcycle?
The throttle.
Oh, the throttle. So the throttle's on a handlebar and you twist it, right?
Yeah.
What happens if your hand doesn't work? What if your brain says, I'm going to race, and your hand won't work?
Gotta use your arm, I guess.
You guess. Do you think that would work?
No.
No. Okay, that's what I wanted to hear, Trey. How do you turn a motorcycle?
With your arms and legs.
With your arm? You just turn it like this? Do I have to do anything else? You just turn the handlebar?
Kinda.
Yeah, but kinda. You just turn the handlebar. You don't lean or anything when you turn the handlebar?
A little bit.
Like if you're racing through the woods and you're going 100 miles an hour, you don't ride that fast, do you?
No.
How fast do you ride?
Like 20,
20 miles an hour.
maybe.
So you're going 20 miles an hour through the woods, Trey. And right in front of you, there is the biggest oak tree you've ever seen in your life. Are you just going to turn the handlebars? Are you going to turn the handlebars, lean, and make the motorcycle go where you want?
Probably lean.
You're
and
probably
then
gonna
turn a little bit.
A little bit? I wouldn't know, Trey, because I would hit the tree. That's why I'm asking you, brother. All right? But it takes all of the parts of your body working together to make that work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can you ride? I guess you could probably ride with a broken leg, couldn't you?
Yeah, I did that before.
You did that before. All right. Can you ride with a broken leg as well as you can ride with 2 good legs?
No.
No. So, Trey, I'm just asking, could a church operate like with a broken leg as well as it could operate with 2 good legs?
No.
So if there's one part out there and one part doesn't do its job, the body can't function as well as it should be able to function, can it?
No.
No. You've been a great guest, Trey. Y'all give Trey a hand. You know, as you think about our body, I'm gonna take a break. And Fred's going to come up, and Fred's going to talk to you some about small groups. And I'm going to come back and talk a little bit more about the body. I'm going to leave Bones right here, if that's okay. That doesn't mess anybody up if Bones is sitting here, do you? All right. And then I'll be back in a minute, and Fred's going to share some things with you.
Thank you, Fred. Hey, good morning. Do something. Okay.
Remember where
All right, maybe we'll need, oh, there we go. Okay, everybody hear me? Well, good morning, and as Greg said, I'm going to be sharing a little bit about the results. Pull this down a little bit more. From the survey that many of us took earlier in the year, and boy, I'm not having any luck with it. Oh, there you go. First slide, I want to say thank you to everybody. I mean, we had a great response. 63, as Greg said before, 63 surveys were completed. And, I know there's probably some out there that didn't do it, but that's still, I think it's a pretty good response. We've got a lot of great answers and stuff and a lot of good information to use. Okay, let me go back one here. All right, yeah, there we go. I would warn you, a lot of charts, a lot of bar charts, a lot of numbers. So if we have any engineers in here, you'll probably love this presentation. Everybody else will probably glaze over, but that's okay. We'll just want to really emphasize some of the high points here. But the survey was kind of constructed in three categories. There were a couple of demographic-related questions. There were about 3, 4, or 5 questions kind of related to relationships, connectiveness or engagement, kind of what Greg's talking about. How well do we feel we are a part of the body? And again, I got a lot of good information we received back. And then finally, several questions about specifically about the small groups themselves and the small group ministry. The first question was, which age category are you? And again, you can see kind of the highlights, just concentrate really more on that. So we had 60% were in the combined age category 51 and older. So as I kind of look out in the congregation, I mean, I think we've got a very diverse age-wise congregation, but it seems like at least those who responded, a majority of them were in that 50 and up category. So again, I think that maybe speaks to the maturity of our congregation. Let's see. All right. How long have you been a member or have been attending Clarksville Highway Church? And again, kind of the same thing. 63% have been a member for more than 10 years. And I think, again, that's probably a good representation of our family here. And again, it kind of speaks to the stability and the fact that we're a very established, mature congregation. Okay, and then we get into some of the questions along the lines of, how do we fit in the body? How do we feel that we're fitting in the body? This one was, I think, a good positive response. How well do you understand and connect with the mission of Clarksville Highway Church? And I started to ask, do you know what the mission is? But I figured we'll leave that blank and see what people say. Of course, it is making disciples. But again, 9 out of 10, 91% either feel a strong connection or relate somewhat to our mission. And again, I feel like it's really good. In fact, we had very few responses that weren't in those categories. So that speaks well of our mission being understood and people being connected to that. Let's see. Okay. How engaged do you feel at Clarksville? How engaged do you feel you are at Clarksville Highway? And again, 71% either feel very engaged or somewhat engaged at Clarksville Highway Church. Very, very good. I mean, we had, I think this is the one that, okay, there's another one I got, one of the slides I kind of got my numbers mixed up. But again, that says that most of us feel that we are engaged to somewhat in the church family. Although I'm going to talk a little bit about that from a standpoint. One of the things we were able to do was to take the data, take your responses, and kind of look at them from a standpoint of, both how old people are, what age category they are, and also how long they've been a member of the church here. And there wasn't a whole lot of difference with age, but there were some pretty divergent answers on based on how long you've been here, and we'll share those in just a second too. But again, overall, a good engagement feeling. Okay, besides personal family members, how many significant relationships with Clarksville Highway Church members would you say you have here? And again, over half of us have at least 6 or more, feel like we have 6 significant relationships. Just 18% of us, of the respondents. But even almost everybody has at least 1 or 2, which is a good thing. So, okay, Now this one was interesting in consideration of the previous slide. Okay, besides personal family members, how often do you spend time with Clarksville Highway Church members outside of Sunday morning service, what we're doing here today? Now 67% spend time with other non-family members, either frequently or occasionally. But again, when we think about the significant relationships we have, only really 20% of us really spend a lot of time with these people outside of, our relationships outside of church here. So again, maybe an opportunity to consider. How would you describe the growth of your walk with God over the past year? 81% experienced positive growth in their walk with God over the past year. Again, I think that's very encouraging, very positive, considering coming out of the COVID pandemic and just now starting to kind of get things back in the normal mode. So, okay. All right, this one's a little bit busy. I apologize. I meant to mention a second ago that we do have handouts of the slides in the back. So as you're leaving today, be sure to pick one of those up. And if you have any questions, you can see me or whatever. But this is those kind of 4 of those key engagement questions that are kind of broken out by how long we've been here, how long we've been a member of the church. And what we find is, I'm not going to get in there, but in summary, what we find is people who have been members here for a lesser amount of time responded that they feel less connected, they feel less engaged, and they have fewer non-family significant relationships. So again, an opportunity for us, and particularly as we think about small groups, that certainly provides a good vehicle for addressing this and getting people connected, getting people assimilated in the congregation. All right, now we move into the small group questions. Again, very, very encouraging, very positive responses. Have you ever been a part of a home-based small group ministry? Over 3/4 of us have been involved in that. And again, a lot of over half of the respondents have been part of small groups here, Clarksville Highway. Okay. All right. Now I think this is one of the most positive slides we've got here. If you have been a part of a home-based small group ministry before, how would you describe your overall experience with small groups? And 100% said either somewhat positive or very positive. So we had no negative experiences. And again, I think that's kind of highly unusual, but I think it's, that kind of puts us in a good place to maybe get started here. Puts us at a good starting point. All right. If a small group program was started at Clarksville Highway Church, what would be your interest level in participating, at least on a trial basis? 82% either definitely or possibly interested in being a part of a program. So, in fact, out of everybody that responded, we really only had 2 that said they weren't, for various reasons, weren't able to be a part of it. So that says, again, puts us on a good footing to get this started again. All right. Okay, if you are definitely or possibly interested in participating in a small group program, how would you prefer to see small groups organized? And again, I realize in hindsight, this is kind of a lot of overlap in these answers. So, but voluntary sign up, age or stage of life, location, special interests, and others. I think there's a lot of overlap in those categories, particularly we can sign up for kind of an age or stage of life, and so I think what we're envisioning is kind of a voluntary sign-up process that sort of takes, I think this will kind of take care of itself. It depends on how many groups we have, where the host families are going to be located, and so forth. But I think this will kind of take care of itself over time. All right. If you're definitely, and I skipped over question 14, which is really more of just, what days can you meet? Again, the idea of this is really more of kind of seeing what days or the folks can't make, and then see if we can kind of craft that with the days of the week that people are more prefer. So these are the preferred dates, and Sunday was clearly number one. 50% said that was their favorite day to try to meet as a small group. But then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday were also a little bit far behind, but again, still positive, possible dates for having a group. And again, when we looked at everybody that responded, between those 4 days, I think we could accommodate pretty much everybody's schedule, which is a good thing. So again, we don't know how many groups are going to be formed eventually. Again, depends on how many folks we have as leaders and so forth, how many people really want to be a part of it. All right, would you be willing to host a small group of approximately 10 to 20 people in your home? And again, forget about the percentages, look at the actual numbers here, but we had 14 definite and 16 possible respondents. So that's a really good number to start with. One problem that, again, I didn't anticipate, we know we have some husband and wife responses there where they may have both said, yes, we're willing. So, obviously there's some overlap there. So that number is, maybe, probably would be a little bit less than that, but again, still a great place to start. And then this is probably, I think, the most encouraging slide out of everything we have here. If both training and materials were provided to you ahead of time, would you be willing to facilitate a small group discussion of approximately 10 to 20 people? And again, we had 10 definite and 13 possible respondents to that. And again, this is probably one of the toughest things to get when you start a small group program, finding people who are willing to lead, willing to facilitate these groups. So look, again, we've got a great base to start with. Now, one thing that, as we put the survey out, we did certainly encourage people to be anonymous with their responses and stuff, and we did get some names, which is certainly fine. But we have a lot of people who have volunteered to lead and host, and we don't know who you are. So we need you to let us know who you are. So there's my contact information, or you can tell Greg or whatever, but we would like to know this fairly soon because, again, that's going to dictate how many potential groups we can have by the number of host families and the number of leaders. So if you can do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, so where are we now in the planning stage? There are a group of people here that are working together to try to get all this stuff in place by this coming fall. So we have a steering committee that's composed of Scott and Vicki Biggs, Peggy Claude, J.R. Merritt, Houston Smith, and Fred Nina Carroll Selby. So again, the idea was try to get a mix of people who have both been a part of Clarksville Highway small groups as well as those who've been parts of small group ministries and other congregations. And again, the idea is hopefully we'll kind of put together the best of all the inputs and experiences. So we have set a couple of milestone dates here. August 28th, we want to host a small group launch event. Don't know exactly what that looks like at this point in time. We'll be planning that out. But again, just from the standpoint of kind of early on getting that on your calendars here. So, but most likely we'll have some sort of a fellowship meal afterwards, and then we'll have a way for kind of matching up people with groups. And then the week after that is Labor Day week, so weekend and the holiday, so we won't do anything that week. But then the following week, we plan to really kick this off on a formal basis here. So again, small groups will begin meeting. And kind of where we are so far in a little bit of a planning standpoint, what we envision is having kind of defining a program year as going from September through May, and then taking the summer off, with vacations and people traveling. Gives us a chance to kind of step back and evaluate how the previous year went, as well as, giving opportunity to maybe tweak and make changes for the following year. And what we, if taking those months, it kind of works out pretty conveniently where we can break that down into 3 independent 10-week sessions. And what we'll do is have 2-week breaks in between those two, and be using studies that probably last anywhere from 5, 6, 7 weeks, and that gives us a couple of extra weeks. And what we want to encourage the groups to do is, within each of these sessions, to have some time to serve, have some time to do some fun things together, have some time to maybe even meet with other groups and other small groups and stuff, and strengthening those relationships too. And at least for the first year, what we want to do, encourage all the groups to basically we'll be using the same study material, and we're going to be working with Greg and trying to coordinate that around with Sunday morning sermons and stuff. So we're kind of all on the same page, kind of all moving in the same direction, and then we'll evaluate that maybe next year we'll go a little bit of a different route. So, all right, where we are, what we've got left to do this summer, obviously the host and leader selection and training. It's going to determine our groups. We've got to determine the curriculum for upcoming program year. Again, child care support. And again, I know it's one of the issues that small groups have to wrestle with. And you know, our steering committee, we want to try to head a lot of that off, up front, and try to identify some resources and some framework and structure for helping out with child care support. I mentioned the launch event. We've got to plan that, group signups. But not only that, we want to, again, programs like this tend to, they start out, everybody's on a big high, and then over time they just sort of wane, the enthusiasm wanes. And so we want to make sure we have an ongoing program to support and maintain these groups, maintain this ministry, and keep everybody excited and keep it fresh and evergreen. So anyway, that's kind of where we are right now. And so if you have any questions, see me or any of the members of the group, Greg. I just encourage you to be praying about this ministry. I think God can really bless it, use it to bless our congregation and grow our congregation. Again, as we think about making disciples, I mean, this is one of the main great opportunity to be doing that. So be thinking about maybe somebody that a friend or neighbor or coworker or something that might benefit from being a part of a small group. So, thank you. Oh, you don't, no applause.
Have to do with bones over here? Well, it has a lot to do with bones, because as we start interacting with one another, and we start interacting as a church family, sometimes it's important for us to know what kind of gifts that we have and how do we use that gift to serve the family. I want to read to you just quickly from Romans chapter 12. For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of the faith that God has assigned. For as in one body we have many members, and the members do not all have the same function. And so we, though many, are one body in Christ, and individually we are members of one another. Having gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, let us use them. If prophecy, in proportion to our faith; if service, in serving; the one who teaches, in his teaching; the one who exhorts, in his exhortation; the one who contributes, in generosity; the one who leads, with zeal; and the one who does acts of mercy, with cheerfulness. So if you look at that, a couple of things about that. Number one is, we all came to Christ in a different way. We all have individual experiences in the way that we came to Jesus, the way that we became believers. And your experience is not the same as mine. And in that way, we are very individual. But even though we're individuals, when we get into the body, we are members of one body. We're a unit. We all function together. We don't compete with one another. We don't try to outdo one another with a particular gift. That's why he's talking about don't think too highly of yourself. Think about yourself in terms of what you contribute to the body. Let's just say that you decide, well, so-and-so can teach a much better Bible class than Greg. Should I get upset about that or angry about that and say, well, I just can't believe that they think there's somebody who's a better teacher than me? No, I say, well, thank you for that. And we use that gift in the church. And it's kind of like looking back over here at Bones. And he lists several gifts down here. And we can get into some of these later, but for this morning, he's prophecy, serving, teaching, exhorting, contributing, leading, and mercy. Let's talk about the guy who has the gift of contributing. That's meeting somebody else's need. Maybe the person who has the gift of meeting somebody else's need is not really an encouraging kind of guy, right? That's not his gift. His gift is not to go out and encourage and find out things about people, but he's really good at helping meet the needs of people. Would he need somebody that would kind of go out and find out where the need was? He would, wouldn't he? That's how the body works together. If you have the gift of teaching, and you're a really great teacher, but you get discouraged, do you need to know who the guy who has the lady, the man, whoever who has the gift of exhortation, the gift of encouragement? Would you like to know who that was? That person could come up alongside somebody who, man, have you ever met one of those people and they've been teaching 100 years? You know, that's exaggeration for the sake of emphasis, right? And they're kind of tired, and they're really struggling, and somebody comes up and says, you know, I remember when you taught my kid, and you taught them so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, and I will always be appreciative of that. Does that kind of light a fire under people? It does. And so you need that kind of thing. What if you're a service kind of guy? You know, you're just good at serving other people. Well, what you need to know is, who is it that you go serve? And it takes all of the people in the body working together for it to work. So you get back over here to bones, and let's just say I'm this bone right here. You know, and I'm a good, anybody know what the name of that bone? It's what? Okay, everybody talking at once, I couldn't hear. So, that's the humerus. Isn't that funny? All right, so you got your humerus, and I'm a humerus, right? There I am, right there. And I'm a good bone. I mean, I'm a really good bone. I mean, I am strong. I can do my job. In fact, I'm about the best humerus you could ever want to have. Now, am I any good by myself? I can't even move. I'm just stuck. There I am, just hanging around. That's all I can do. And the brain says, man, I'd really like to have a piece of cake. And I'm thinking, man, I'm a really great bone, and I'd like to get that for you. But you know what? I can't do it. I can't do it by myself because it just won't work. I need a muscle, right? In addition to a muscle, what else do I need? I need a tendon. I'm going to have a ligament to help hold me in place. I'm going to have some blood to kind of give me some power. Then I'm going to have some nerving to kind of say, hey, buddy, you're supposed to move, right? But do you ever feel like that? Can you go into life even trying to be a believer in Jesus, and all of a sudden you kind of feel all alone? And you need somebody else there to help? Or you need somebody to encourage? You look around, and I could go through the auditorium, and I tell you what, I could tell most of you your names. I could do pretty good with that. Most of you could probably do pretty good with that. If we were just having a name competition. But how about when you hit difficult areas of life? When you need some really deep encouragement? When you need a group of people around you that will help you through a really difficult time of life? Maybe you just want to rejoice. I mean, you just want to be happy about something. Maybe something has happened in your life and you just think it's the greatest thing ever, and you just want to tell somebody about all the great stuff that's happened in your life. And you look around, who is it that you tell? Who is it that you tell? And we say, man, Clarksville Highway, we are a family church. Boy, we're really family oriented. And you know, I think we are. But I just want to be honest with you. If you're a newborn into the family, it's kind of, you know what I mean by that? Not like you were just like born, but you just kind of a new introduction to our church family. Maybe it's the first time that you're in the door, maybe the first time talking to somebody. Sometimes it's a little difficult to get to know people. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's because we're friendly. So after church today, when you look around after we say amen, close in prayer and everything, you know what I'll see? I will see groups of people, and y'all will just congregate to one another, and y'all will sit there, and y'all be talking about all kind of stuff. And it is great to see. It's really cool. What if you hadn't been in one of those little groups that meet somewhere in the auditorium before? Think it's ever kind of difficult to kind of get a conversation, or somebody to talk to you, or somebody to say hi? Sometimes it's difficult. You start coming in and we are very family friendly oriented. I mean, I applaud us for that, but sometimes we just need to do a better job of looking around and saying hi to newer people and making sure that they can be part of the group, making sure that we really know each other. And that's kind of how small groups fit into the plan. That's kind of the things that they do. It's to build relationship with one another. I don't want to be bones. I want to have some muscles and some tendons and some ligaments and some blood vessels. I want to have somebody to help me. I want to have somebody to help hold me accountable. I I want somebody to encourage me when I'm feeling down. I want somebody to rejoice with me when I'm feeling great. I want somebody that can help meet needs when needs need to be met. I want people to share life with. There's a reason that God put the church together, and there's a reason that we are a community, because deep down inside us, God knows we need community and relationships. And we can't be bones. We have to be an entire body that works together. And part of that working together is really beginning to put ourselves in a position that we can know each other and respond to each other and help each other. And small groups can do a great job in helping with that. I guess first you just need to be part of the body, right? Be part of the body. You know, the church is an incredible thing, because I look at us as a church, as a congregation, and we're not perfect. Your leaders aren't perfect. Your elders aren't perfect. Your preacher's not perfect. Your deacons aren't perfect. Classroom teachers aren't perfect. People who serve aren't perfect. Not by ourselves. But we are perfect through the blood of Jesus, because the blood of Jesus cleanses each one of us and makes us whole. And I just want to ask you this morning, are you part of that body? Are you part of that family? And if you're not, we're going to ask you to respond while we stand and sing.